All right, chat, you're gonna have to tell me if this works because I haven't done this in a long fucking time. So hopefully you guys can hear me because I was not expecting my return to the stream to be by myself. So I am the Lorax. I'm Lyle Dixon. I speak for the Brad. And if everyone can hear me, then we're going to talk about some fucking meta this weekend. Hopefully I can get some confirmation in chat. Everyone's good. All right, looks like people can hear me. So let's hang out, guys. Brad was supposed to be here. In fact, Brad promised me that he would give me not one commentator, but two co-commentators. And you can see once again, Brad has failed to live up to the hype. So hopefully, chat, you can be my co-commentator tonight, and we'll have a good time. We had some interesting things to look at this weekend, so we're going to dive straight into it. Going to access our lovely free for everyone, and you should be using it and subscribing to the Patreon Meta Monday. We had some knights. Brad is not dead, but my understanding is that Brad's car had to be towed for some reason. I don't know if he did something or someone did something to him. I have no idea. But Brad is alive. I've been texting him. He's just not home. And Brad told me if he made it home, he would not be fit for television because he's pretty upset about whatever happened. So I will see if Brad joins us, but I don't think we're going to count on that. So it's just going to be us relaxing and chilling. Yeah, Kyle would have normally been my co-commentator, but Kyle decided to work until 8 o'clock tonight. So, you know, everyone yell at Kyle for trying to better his life and have a job. So, as you guys can tell by the picture, Knights won a GT this weekend. They won multiple GTs, I believe. Not something that we get to say frequently. Knights famously great at mid-table stuff and not necessarily winning and closing out events. They did it this weekend. So I'd like to go through here and look at the big events. I know Brad has his own little style. We'll get down to the data here in a minute, and we'll answer questions from the chat. We had Votan winning a 100-person event, 6-0 this weekend. We had Imperial Knights winning a 97-player event. That's huge for me. We've seen Knights before can win, a 40-person GT or whatever. Winning a 97-person tournament in Australia, who's not known for their weak meta, very impressive. Also, love to see this, just for the health of the game. Love seeing Genestealer Cult doing well, even if they didn't take it down. Love seeing Genestealer Cult getting in there with 5-1. I was hoping that Horton would be here. He could tell us a little bit about his feelings about Genestealer Cult's mild resurgence here lately. But it's nice to see them doing well. Guard, 75-player event going 6-0 in Mexico this weekend. CSM winning an event. Sisters of Flame winning an event. Necron's Hypercrypt tying an event with Sisters of Flame. And then once again, 40-person event. Knights winning that. Again, not trying to disparage winning smaller events, but just excited to see Knights win 2 events this weekend. Not something we've seen a lot. Sisters again. Thousand Suns, as always. Blood Angels. Custodes. There you are, KR. I know you love seeing your Custodes win even small events. Guard again. And Raiders kind of rounded it out this weekend. So for those of you who haven't checked the takeaways already today on Meta Monday, Imperial Knights did win 2 events. Now those were in the Pacific. One was in Australia. I don't want to make people motion sick. I'm sorry. And the other one was in New Zealand. So both kind of Australian area. I don't want to offend people by comparing Australia and New Zealand. But it's great to see Knights doing well, showing that I think that more than anything to me really shows just kind of how healthy our meta is, where we're at right now, that you could still take anything out there and be successful if you've put your time and reps into it. I do love seeing that. AdMech absolutely crushing it this weekend. It said 25% of players went X&O or X&1, 58% win rate. I need to see that a little bit more, in my opinion. We know AdMech Brad has been advocating to us that AdMech is quite capable of winning events. I think we just need to see more, kind of like GSE. I think they can do it. I need to see more out of them. I would like to see some more consistent results to be excited about AdMech in the meta again. But anytime you're in the same category as T-Suns, that seems pretty good. Tyrion is above 50%, and then we get down to our sad boys. Wah, wah. Space Marines at 39%. Orcs at 42, still a little low, but this is just sad. We've got to. I don't know. Are we nearing a point where we're gonna have to see Space Marine Codex 2? I don't like it when it happens. Maybe they could rebrand it with Space Marine 2. They could do it as a package deal, kind of theme it as like a Titus Space Marine 2 Codex to get the new players excited. I'm being completely ridiculous, but I do like Space Marine 2. That was fun. Everything else kind of sitting here in the Death Guard here at 56. I was about to say everything else kind of in here in the upper 40s, low 50s. Death Guard at 56 looks good. Kyle and I have had this argument lately about how good we actually think Death Guard are. We're both kind of the opinion they don't do anything special. They just do everything really well, really solid. And so, like, if you're willing just to put the reps in with the fundamentals, Death Guard, I think, are still perfectly capable of going out and just doing well in events. Since they don't do anything amazing, I keep thinking they're not like going to be anyone's favorites to win a singles event. Although I would still be happy to have them on any team event that I played on. They don't ever seem like they have any super bad matchups, but they also don't have any super good matchups. I know none of this data reflects team events. I wish it did, but that would be like an entirely. I don't even know how Meta Monday would figure that out. Team events with pairings and all that, like what get put down defender, like that makes such a huge deal. So, all right, see some stuff here in chat. Kangaroo. I'm not sure, KR, if Knights are getting help from Imperial agents yet. I feel like they should be. I guess the easiest way to look is, let's see, are Imperial agents in here? Although I don't know that Meta Monday would include Imperial agents anyway. So maybe that's not a good way to check. Oh, they are. Yeah, if Imperial agents are listed as a codex available for Meta Monday, I have to imagine that they're available for the Knights to ally in with. Let's see. Space Marine 2 Electric Boogaloo. Win a dance off to save the rec center. I like it. All right, so let's go in here. Let's dig into this a little bit more. We see AdMech, as we said, tied for the highest win rate of the weekend with 1,000 Suns. We had 3 X and O's in AdMech. We had 8 X and O's with T-Suns, though, so T-Suns still, as I think we all believe, a little bit easier to spike high with T-Suns. Let's see, Corey saying, give them Space Marines. The Chaos Space Marines are just better. Yeah, that's fair. I did try to go to a GT a few months ago and ask if I could use my regular Space Marines as Chaos Space Marines if everything was pretty obviously 1-to-1 as to what it wanted to be, and I got shut down on that. I was just a little sad. I was excited to play Renegade Raiders right when they came out, but I didn't get to. So again, Death Guard we see here, 3 X and O's out of, how many players is this? Out of 19. So slightly higher finishing rate than AdMech with 3 X and O's out of 11, but still very, very respectable. Let's see, Tyranids. So we had 9 people total playing a combination of Vanguard and Crusher. And then Invasion Fleet just continues to kind of be like the old standard. Most people are playing Invasion Fleet. Make sure I'm looking at this right. Yeah, players are here. So most people are playing Invasion Fleet, and that's probably why you're seeing their numbers be a little bit higher or a little bit lower. Just more people playing the game means you have to have more people lose at some point. So that makes sense. I got to play against Crusher Stampede with my Retcad list last weekend. And it is a very, like, most people don't do as much damage as Tau, for sure. And even Tau did not want to try, like, you get in positions where you don't want to have to fight the Crusher Stampede, because, like, if you just accidentally bounce even when you shouldn't, like, the game's just over. I feel like that's got to be part of the Crusher Stampede, is you're just kind of stat checking people, and they can try to kill you. It's not impossible to kill you. But, man, if you don't kill them on the turn you need to, it just feels really, really bad. It just feels like you're immediately going to be like 20 points down or losing essential resources. So I am a believer in Crusher Stampede after playing against it. It does not feel like an easy thing to play against. All right, Sisters of Battle. This still makes me sad. I know Bringers of Flame is good. I'm not mad that they're good. I just really want this to be better. I really want to play Army of Faith. I was building Sisters for a while. I just want this to be good, but it's just like, and I'm not saying it's not good. Sisters are all good. But I am not a really good list builder. I want someone else to figure this out for me so I can play it. it just feels like the most fun. But I don't know enough. The sisters are so elite. I don't know how to build a good sisters list right now. But I guess the answer is you take Bringers of Flame and then you take all the units that have fire. All the Flamers and Meltas still seem very, very good. Hallowed Martyrs, I know the guy on our team. We are sending a team to Champions Cup this weekend. So we got Brad, Brandon, Brenton, Crawley, Hunter Nance, Austin Wingfield, Monic, and Jamie Beaton all going down to Texas for Champions Cup. And I know Austin Wingfield is taking our sisters list for our team. And he has been just profusely espousing belief in Hallowed Martyrs just being the absolute best attachment. We played against Hallowed Martyrs at ATC in the last rounds, and I think Crawley lost. He lost pretty badly. Sisters were really good, and I don't think Crawley understood. It's not a knock on Crawley. He didn't understood how much damage some of the combos in Hallowed Martyrs could do with like their smash cannoness and things like that, and so he kind of got caught a little bit he got surprised a bit by how much damage the sisters could do to him in one turn. Austin has repeatedly talked about the ability just to have that smash cannoness, the ability to stand up and keep doing stuff is just pretty crazy as far as the consistency that Hallowed Martyrs can do. Yeah, Austin is I think still on Team Battle Brothers, but he's kind of like one of our, you know how DOG rolls, KR. We've got like the DOG team, and then we've just got like all the people DOG hangs out with, and that's kind of part of what our team was made by. Is like we've got our team, and then we've got the people that we always like roll with. And Austin is such a great guy. Always awesome to see him at events. I've gotten to play against him a few times, and just always had a wonderful experience with Austin. So I am very proud to see Austin representing the DOG community down in Champions Cup this weekend, even if he is a OG Battle Brother. All right, moving on. Drukari. 70% with Real Space Raiders, so that was only with 3 players, but that is very interesting to me because Real Space Raiders I thought sucked. So seeing people do well with Real Space Raiders is very interesting because I thought everybody was on Sky Splinter Assault Force at this point. So I would like to hear what these Real Space Raiders players have found. We did have one person go X and O with Real Space Raiders. Very exciting to see, but I think that continues to show just kind of how available the meta is right now. All the different things that you could definitely still be playing and having success with if you're willing to put the time into your list. Grey Knights continue to do Grey Knight things. Gene Stealer Cult. So we had 2 people on Brood Surge, 73% win rate, which is awesome. We had 2 people on Xenocrete Congregation, and then 3 people on Outlander Claw, all with good win rates. I guess this is the bad one, based on the 18% win rate. I don't know if, chat, you could tell me, which one did Ennis play? That I know he played something that was just like all vehicles, and he won an event a week or 2 ago with it. I don't know which one of these that is, or if you can just kind of take that list and slot it into any of the detachments. I don't know if like any of these attachments make more sense with the vehicles. So that might be why we're seeing a little bit of resurgence. Anytime we have a top player do well with an army that hasn't been doing well, everyone who loves that army is definitely going to go out. I'm not even like making fun of them for net listing, but they're going to go out and take that list as their starting point, and they're going to put it back on the table, which I think is exciting to see, as I know Horton has been very sad about how poorly GSC not only has been doing, but how few people have been playing it. We still only had 9 people play it this weekend, which is way too low of a number for the army to be healthy. So I definitely am hoping that we continue to see people doing well, showing the Gene Stealer Cult players that they can do well. Hopefully that will continue to drive these numbers up and get that army back in the game. Yeah, I don't know enough either, KR, I'll be honest. Hunter, thank you. I did want to point out, Brad did tell me, he was like, Lyle, go on stream tonight. Make sure chat knows that aircraft are not only a healthy part of the game, but an integral part of the game, and we need more aircraft in the future. Like 40K will only continue to be a thriving game if cool aircraft continue to make it to the top tables. So I was like, Brad, I feel like that's a pretty controversial take, but if that's what you truly believe, I'll be glad to go out there on chat and let everybody know. because I know that's, Brad uses this as his way to communicate with you guys, and far be it for me to not speak for the Brad. I am the Lorax. I do just want to let you guys know what Brad told me. So, 1+ saves. Yeah, talking about the Sky Splinter transports. Yeah, I mean, that's easier said than done, though, right? Like, yes, you would need to kill the transports. Is a good Drukhari player going to make that an easy thing to accomplish? I don't think so. I've played against Drukhari for a while, and I happen to only play one-phase armies. I usually play either Blood Angels or Tau. And knowing that I need to kill the transports so I can kill the insides, like, doesn't make it easier to get done. So, like, I agree with you that, like, that understanding how to, like, you might prioritize things a little bit differently against Sky Splinter, but, like, they're still super fast. They still can just hop from screen to screen in the back, or screening terrain to screening terrain in the back. Like, getting lines of sight and getting the distance on them while they just play a KG mission game, I still don't think is easy. Yeah, I agree it's necessary, but, like, you might have to change the way your army normally wants to operate to get that accomplished. Make them aircraft great again. I agree, Michael. I agree. I got 2 Tiger Sharks behind me just waiting to get painted again. I looked at them yesterday. I was like, yeah, I'm probably not going to play them again in 10th, but 11th edition is not that far away, right? We're probably 2 years away from 11th edition. You never know. They're going to forget to code something the right way, and then Tiger Sharks will just be on the tables again. Is what it is. Talked about Knights, super healthy place here, 51%, 28 players. Love to see that. Several 5 X and O's or X and 1s, 2 GT wins. Very, very good weekend. Probably the best weekend I've seen for Imperial Knights in a hot minute. I guess, what was it, the beginning of 10th, they were kind of stupid, and they would win stuff if they got to go first against Eldar. But it's probably been since the beginning of 10th where we saw them winning GTs with any consistency, so that's nice to see. Space Wolves, so we had 51%, obviously super healthy, 5 X and O's or X1s. Am I remembering this right, or is that GT wins? That has to be XOs, right? Yeah. And then the second one is wins. Yeah, so no wins this weekend, but 5 XOs, which is a great showing. We did have 16 players. Obviously, it looks like Stormland's still a little bit better, but 48% for Champions of Rust out of 9 players playing in a GT still seems super reasonable to me. So these players probably just having a good time or trying something, trying to cook, and that's fine. Let them cook. But glad to see that there's at least now 2 reasonable choices between Stormlance and Champions of Rust. Let's see. Yeah, let's put Emperor class starships at 40K. I love it. Whatever the starship is, or what is the thing that all the Thunderhawks are on in Space Marine 2? Let's get one of those. I don't know what they're on. Is it just an Emperor class like orbiting battleship? I'm not Brad. I don't know the names of everything in 40K. I'm sorry, but yeah, I want to be able to shoot multiple Thunderhawks out at people during a game. Let's do that. That sounds like a fun way to play. 3 Storm Ravens, Michael. I don't think that's enough. I think you should go 3 Storm Ravens and at least 1 Thunderhawk. All right. Leagues of Votann. Good weekend. 51%, 2 X and O's, and a GT win. It looks like they won the biggest GT of the weekend. I did want to point out they did win. The largest GT of the weekend was in Germany. And for whatever reason, Germany seems to have the best Votann players, or the players who make Votann look the best. Germany famously had that tier list a few months ago where they thought the Votann was the best army in 10th edition. So I'm not saying that diminishes how good Votann are, but I think it's very telling to see Votann go 6-0 in a German GT, because they obviously believe that it's quite powerful over there. The Battle Barge. Thank you, guys. Yeah. No, I think we should be able to have that 1+ saves. I think we should have an airplane that just nukes the battlefield. I should be able to have a Thundership or Thunderhawk battleship that just I flip a coin, and if I get a heads, I just nuke the entire table, and then the only thing left is my Thunderhawk. I think that's a fair way to play 40K. Well, for Space Marines, you can only take Codex compliant chapters. You just get armor contempt all those. I mean, okay, so like that's what they did before, right? They just gave them permanent armor of contempt. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to make the army worse. I would rather we just figure out a way to make it to where we don't have to fix the army, which I know is like a silly thing to say, right? There's a fundamental issue with the way they've chosen to approach Marine design in 10th edition for sure, where they very clearly wanted all Marine chapters to be Marines. And as a result, they've just created a game state for Marines they can't balance. Like their desire to make all the Space Marines or all the Space Wolves and the Blood Angels and the Black Templars and whoever else all use the same book means that if there's any of like it's happening a little bit right now with Dark Angels, right? Like you can do the Dark Angels detachment to get the 3-inch deep strike, which is cool, or you can just play super good fundamental 40k and take Gladius Task Force, and then you just have access to all the good basic stuff that Marines want, and they're going to end up getting Gladius Task Force, touched in some way, whether it's the units that are in that list. I mean, they'll obviously touch Deathwing Knights at some point, would be the assumption, but they never touch just one thing. Like anytime we've seen them want to touch an army, they touch everything, and it just keeps happening with Marines that when they touch the few things that are making this army good, it means the other armies get worse. The best example, obviously, being the Vanguard list that a lot of people were playing, what was it, beginning of the year? It's like 8 months ago. And they got Inceptors nerfed into oblivion. And Scouts all went up by, I think it was 10 points. And just, like, the army, every single unit in the army got nerfed in points a little bit. And it wasn't because Codex Space Marines were busted. It was because other people were taking advantage of Vanguard doing busted things. There's only like 5 great data sheets in the book. They nerf all those, and now the only thing left to build an obscenely powerful Space Marine army with is the stuff from the non-Codex compliant chapters, and you sprinkle in the rules that are in the Space Marine Codex. So like if they just continue down that path of nerfing the specialist units like Death Company or Thunderwolf Cavalry or whatever, then you're just going to end up where all Space Marines suck. There's probably got to be a better way, right? We can't have it to where we don't want a game where either all the Marines are too good or the best army, or only the non-Codex compliants are the best army, or all Marines suck. Like right now, that we keep going back and forth between those 3 choices. I would rather be able just to play like Salamanders. That would be fun. I enjoyed playing Salamanders last year. I have no idea why anyone would play anything that didn't have Death Company or Thunderwolf in them right now. Or I'm sorry, or Deathwing Knights. Not Darkwing. I'm thinking Deathwing Knights. Although Michael, I need you to get on this. I need Playmaker. I need a Deathwing army made like Darkwing Duck. So please take care of that for me. I have no idea why you would play Marines right now that don't play Codex specific units. Like it seems like every good Marine army right now either has Death Company or Deathwing Knights or Thunderwolf Cavalry. So I would love to see them figure out how they're going to fix it. I'm just worried they dug themselves in a hole a little bit. If it takes throwing AOC back out, I mean, fine, let's do something. I want to see the Codex compliant chapters playable, but I'm worried with the way they've chosen to design the game right now. It's just not working. Let's see. I agree. They need to have a totally separate book. I think the easiest solution is you make Codex compliant Marines completely different points than the non-Codex compliant Marines. I don't think that's a very innovative way to solve this problem. It's worked that way for a while for a reason. I think they tried something and they at some point are going to have to admit it didn't work. We need Blood Angels points. We need Dark Angels points. We need Space Wolf points. We need everybody else's points. Let's see. Oh, that's fair. Well, I mean, the Necron thing, 1+ saves, they'd also hit like the way the stratagems work too. Like they hit Canoptic Court and Hypercrypt simultaneously, but they hit Canoptic Court worse for sure. But they did hit multiple things. Darkwing Knights, yeah. I agree. I mean, and Eric in chat, I paint all my Marines red. Like, I don't care. I play Blood Angels. All my Marines are red. I have absolutely played these guys as Salamanders. I don't care. I've played these guys as Ultramarines before. I have a Forge World. What was the guy? The first chapter master from the Blood Angels. I think it's Raldoran. Chapter master Raldoran. I have him from Forge World, and I use him as Guilliman because he's the same base size when I want to play a Guilliman. Like, I don't think you... I think Marine players can be perfectly fine playing any other Marine chapter if you have something in your army that fits that. Thunderwolf might be the hardest one to fit, but everyone else, like, you paint your Marines the way you want to paint your Marines, you play them. It's whatever. Like, until you get into the really specific codex or not codex non-compliant units, like, you can kind of mix and match however you want. Like, it doesn't matter that much at all. Oh, the pistol action. Yeah, that's true. I understand what you're saying. They hit a lot of armies with the way they changed actions in Pariah Nexus. Like, Kyle constantly complains might be a bit much, but he is very adamant that Great Unclean Ones are now functionally unplayable, having lost the ability to stand in combat and do actions since they're not named Titanic characters anymore. Or they're not Titanic characters anymore, sorry. So I think Pariah Nexus kind of fundamentally changed the way a lot of armies do actions. So while I understand what you're saying about Necrons, at the very least, it wasn't limited to them. You're not suffering alone. They're not the only army that lost that cool thing. Getting on down here, Chaos Knights, 51%, 4 X and O's. Exactly where I would like to see Chaos Knights. That seems good. Adeptus Custodes, 50% out of 21 players, 3 X and O's with a GT win. Seems super healthy. Love that. I'm interested. I'll ask KR to say something in chat. I have heard people saying that statistically they still think that Talons might actually still be the best at, like, playing the mission. I've played Shield Host once. I went 4-1 with it. I just smashed everyone. But the fact that I hear Custodes aficionados still saying they think Talons might still have the most play as far as, like, competing with other top lists, I find interesting. The data, I mean, there's only 2 Talons players. They did have a higher, what was it, 49% is this is what? 12-week. So they're doing better over the last 3 months. Only a little bit less this weekend, but no X and O's, which I find probably the most telling. Or X and 1s. Like, it means both these guys went 3-2 or worse. So it is what it is. You think they still have too many hard counters? That's fair. Good evening, Sindri. For those of you who are joining us halfway through, I am the Lorax. I speak for the Brad. Brad is not here this evening, but he told me to come on and talk to you guys about the meta and remind everyone that aircraft are important for the health of 40k and that you should all put aircraft in your list. It's very, very important. All right, you think it's at least close? That's fair. I imagine if the aficionados make that argument, it can't be obvious one way or the other. It has to be like they're talking about incremental choices in specific matchups. Let's see. Are everyone... I would have to go dig out which ones were the Talons list. I haven't looked through all the lists, so I cannot tell you. My favorite Custodes list I've seen in Pariah Nexus is still the one we played against at ATC. That was triple Telemon. I don't remember the names of them, but it had 8 Custodes Dreadnoughts. It was triple Telemon, 3 of the ones with a sword and shield, and 2 of the ones with a spear. I don't remember which one's which, but it was just all Custodes Dreadnoughts and then Canis Rex. And it was my favorite Custodes list I've ever seen. He was all in on what he was doing, and it was glorious. All right, Dark Angels. Gladius Task Force, as we said, doing the best 6 X and 1s or better. Out of 27 players. I think it's... Is it Unforgiven Task Force? I don't remember which one is the one that has the 3-inch deep strike. Brad has said there's legit argument for if you just want to go Terminator spam. One of these two has the 3-inch deep strike. I have to imagine it's this one. And he says the 3-inch deep strike is like actually a legit thing to like change the way that other people match up into you. I don't know if it is actually... I can't imagine it's better than Gladius because these numbers, you know, are not indicating that it's better than Gladius. But it at least has actual play. Just being able to 3-inch deep strike 10 Terminators in someone's backfield. Yeah, and he did go undefeated at ATC. We were surprised. We thought we were just going to pick his list off, and we were incorrect. So it did much better than we thought. Eldar looking much healthier than they have been. They can seem to be... People are starting to figure out how to play them. We see their stats going up 50% this week out of 21 players. 3 X and 1s or better. I know Brad is taking Eldar to Champions Cup this weekend, which is very exciting. He's very excited to play Eldar. Trying to think. He's played Eldar since the beginning of 10th edition, which we're not going to talk about. If we don't count the Dark Times, Brad has played Eldar, I think, in 2 GTs this edition. And both of them, he played the silly Power Ranger list that I made him play, where it was just like you took every single name character in Eldar, and then like he spruced it up. He added the characters to all of their aspect units. Then I think he had 2. Is it Wraithlord? Not the Knight, but the next one down, I think, is a Wraithlord with Wraithsayers in him. So that was like he kind of memed an Eldar list for a couple events. This time he's playing like real Eldar, and he's very, very excited about it. Brad is the definition of an Eldar player. He loves to just play the way the way he likes to play is the way that the army functions. So he's very excited to be taking them down to Texas this weekend. All right, getting into the people who might need a little bit of bumps here. We see Astra Militarum 49%. They did have 2 event wins. They did have 6 X and 1s, but still coming in a little bit below 50%. Again, large player base. Guard players love to play guard. So you're probably just seeing such a large number of players that they could easily dip below or above 50% on any given weekend. Same with Necrons, 36 players. Hypercrypt still doing really well, but we do have players out here. God bless this man taking Annihilation Legion and winning no games. I appreciate him. He went 0-4, but I appreciate that he played for 4 rounds. So you, sir, are a gentleman and a scholar. Hypercrypt Legion, I know Kyle is super interested in Hypercrypt right now. Yeah, I think Garter's still really good right now, KR. My guard collection is really weird. I have half an army of Talarn and then half an army made out of Nurglings, which makes it really hard to like round out my army because I either need to buy more Talarn or buy more Nurglings to make guardsmen out of. So I kind of put them to the side. I really thought about picking them up and trying to finish that army because I know it sounds silly. I really love the idea of playing 45 Scions. Playing 3 10-man Scion units, each with a Scion command squad, just seems hilarious to me. I really want to try that out. I just don't have that list available to me at the moment, or I would probably go put it on the table because it seems really, really fun when you add all the armor in the back. And that you think Annihilation Legion is one of the best attachments in the game? Interesting. I haven't looked at it too much. That's the one that gives rerolls, right? I'd have to actually pull the book back out. I thought that was the one that gave they're like my Death Company detachment in Blood Angels. Are you saying it would be better if they fix other people's blood surges, or does Annihilation Legion have a blood surge that needs to be fixed? Yeah, 3-inch or 3-up can't fall back on every unit, coupled with 6-inch consolidate, does seem very powerful. I'll give you that. So I wonder if it's just people aren't picking them up because they're a little bit broken, and then this is just so much easier to play or more fun to play, so much more consistent. They fixed Blood Surge for the army. Okay, I didn't even realize Annihilation had a Blood Surge, honestly. That's how little I've looked at. I've only been looking at Canoptic Court and Hypercrypt Legion, honestly, in this edition. So, interesting. So you would like to see them get the same Blood Surge everyone else gets where they can end in combat, I have to imagine. Because that is a very, very powerful mechanic, especially if you can't fall back on the unit that's doing it. That seems pretty silly. I was saying Kyle is getting in the Hypercrypt. He's very excited about it. He basically describes it as demon with guns. So I think Kyle is bringing Hypercrypt Legion to the Michigan GT this weekend. So I think he played in RTT with a silly double monolith Hypercrypt Legion. I think this GT will be his first actually playing a serious Hypercrypt list. So I know he's very excited about it this coming Saturday. Yes, thank you, KR. We are halfway done. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Brad, he basically lives off stale bread and cans of beans. So you subscribing to this channel and watching these videos, commenting, increasing that algorithm lets him buy twice as many cans of beans as he normally could afford. So, do your part to keep the old man Brad alive with cans of beans. The double monolith list that Kyle played was stupid. It wasn't a real one. It was like 2 monoliths, 2 20 warriors, a spider, a reanimator. And I don't remember the other 2. There's only 8 units in the entire list. I don't think it was a real. It was the list that won that event in Texas a few weeks ago, which clearly was played by someone who had a much deeper understanding of the Necron Codex than a guy who picked it up for his first RTT. We intentionally gave him that list knowing he wasn't going to be able to figure it out and it would be funny. But I'm sure the list is actually really good. It went 6-0, but not for someone who's never touched a Necron model before. All right, down to Tau, getting a little bit lower. Again, I think that's a reflection. We have so many people who play Tau. I don't know what this is. 2 people won 55% of their games with Kroot this weekend. Good for you. Whatever. I don't understand it all. Good on them, though. Maybe Brandon was sneak playing a GT this weekend, and I didn't realize it. That could definitely, Brandon may have snuck into a GT up in Canada. Kalyan continue to do well. Continue to be just a little bit better than Retaliation Cadre. Brad and I got in this argument at it wasn't really an argument. We had this discussion at the team event we went to last weekend. That I think Kalyan is probably a little bit better than Retaliation Cadre. But I don't think it's enough better than Retaliation Cadre that Tau players should just ignore Retaliation Cadre. I think it's a question of which tools do you want in your toolbox for your army. I personally really love the tools available from stratagems and enhancements to the Retaliation Cadre. And I think I play better with access to those tools than I do when I play Kalyan. I find the list I have to take in Kalyan a little more boring, and that makes me probably not play as well because I'm not having as much fun. I think Kalyan is probably more lethal, for sure, 100%. Kalyan and Monka are both more lethal than Retaliation Cadre, but I don't think that it's as big as this difference would indicate, the 53 to 44%. I think a good player with Retaliation Cadre is going to do basically the same results as a good player with Kalyan. So I think it's kind of a coin flip there. You think, all right, so Ill-Tempered Fireblade believes Kroot Hunting Pack is the strongest attachment. Cool, man. I hate it. I tried it. When the book came out. Even back when there was the argument about if the Kroot, the guy who let you use the reanimate stratagem actually worked or not, I still don't think it ever worked. And I know it's been nerfed, obviously, with the inability to reanimate Kroot multiple times. Back when we thought it was busted, or people were working under the assumption it was busted, I still didn't like it. Maybe it's good. Like, I know it's won GTs. It won GTs before it got nerfed. People are having fun with it now. Yeah, I mean, people won 55% of their games. It was 2 people out of 11 games, 6 out of 11 games. Like, it's not like it's, awful, but, like, it also didn't place anywhere. Neither person won 4 games. Look, man, if you told Brandon he had to go win a GT with Kroot, like his life depended on it or something, I'm sure he could figure out a way to win it with this attachment. I don't know, man. I don't like it. I don't think it does enough stuff. It's fine at what it does. It's not amazing at the whole move blocking, scoring, playing the mission thing. Like, it's fine at it, but it's not the best. So I don't know. I think it's to each his own. Like, I'm never going to be able to play that attachment and do well with it. Like, it doesn't. I think a huge part of doing well competitively in 40K is playing something that you vibe with, for lack of a better word. You've got to kind of like be enjoying what you're doing if you're going to play for 2 straight days, 3 straight days. I don't find the Kroot Hunting Pack enjoyable, which probably means I just never can do well with it. But if you find it enjoyable and you're getting results with it, then absolutely, like, more power to you, man. I love it. Yeah, I mean, like, I use Kroot to move, block, and screen too, but I do that in my Retaliation Cadre list. Like, I have Kroot in it for exactly that reason. But then I also have cool guns that fly around the table and move, shoot, move, and 3-inch deep strike and uppy downy. Like, it is what it is. So, yeah, I mean, it's similar. Like, anytime you get like a really specialist attachment like Null Maidens or Kroot, like, there will be people that find a way to make it work. And if they're enjoying it, then awesome. That's great. I'm never going to be one to shit on what somebody else likes to play. I think that's like the most important part of 40K. If you're going to go and try to be a competitive player, you have to enjoy what you're doing. So if you are enjoying, if anyone out there is enjoying Kroot or enjoying Sisters of Silence, like, look, I'm on a team with Mike Henderson, and Mike Henderson did go, I think he went 3-2 at a GT with Sisters of Silence in 9th edition, like before it was a thing. Because he just thought it was funny and he wanted to go take a 2,000 point Sisters of Silence list and play it, and he did well. And like, I'm never going to poop on him for that. Would I have been able to go 3-2 in the exact same situation as him? Absolutely not. I would have been bored out of my mind that my list didn't kill anything. So I like I said, if people, these two guys here, and we got people in chat, love playing Kroot Hunting Pack. I love it for you. I'm glad there's a chat or a detachment there that is tickling your fancy. And I hope it continues to do well and you guys figure out how to crush some events with it. All right, CSM, or as someone in chat said earlier, the real Space Marines. Continue to do fine. Basically, you can play any of these. And then don't do this. If you're not playing Deceptors or Veterans of the Long War, it looks like you're doing fine right now. All of these seem to have play. Packbound had an X1. We had 4 X1s in Renegade Raiders. I know we've had some people in our community that have said Dread Talons is real. I think I don't think the evidence has supported that, but I think Dread Talons might be just kind of like we talked about with Kroot or Sisters of Silence. I think it's very possible that if you're just really into that, you could probably get more out of it than the average person. Because Dread Talons does some very specific weird things. I know Brent Weiss, going down to represent Death or Glory this weekend in Texas, is absolutely in love with Night Lords, and he'll play this list, and he has fun with it, and he does well. Brent's also a really good player who's obsessed with Night Lords, and I think that's a pretty necessary combination. But we see there's definitely some other people here that probably fit in that boat. Blood Angels, I don't even know what to say about Blood Angels anymore. As far as I'm concerned, this is all like dead information. I know the book is still playable, but I can't even like, I don't know about you guys. When you have a new book that like gets teased or it's spoiled and you know what the new army is, can you guys think about the old army anymore? I have struggled with that. Now that I have the new Blood Angels book in my hands, I've found it difficult to get excited about old Blood Angels. Now, that made it a lot easier for me to send my Blood Angels down to Texas to let someone else on the team play, because I still think Blood Angels are amazing. And they will still, especially in team event, they're just going to crush most people. They're just really, really good if you can avoid, their bad matchups. So I'm excited to see Crawley take my models down and murder people in Texas. But I'm kind of just waiting for the new book to come out. What I think about the new book. I agree, no points is stupid, but it is what it is. They're never going to give points out until the week before they actually release the codex. That's just what they do. I'm very excited to try. I'm sure Liberator Assault Group is probably the best one. I need convincing that it is as good as Sons of Sanguinius when it loses Fight on Death. Because I think that one of the reasons it was as good as it was it just auto beat most other melee armies between, like, you get to 4 CP, you have fights first somewhere, you have it Fight on Death and then interrupt, and like you just can roll you're just the best melee army. It just is what it is. Liberator Assault Group losing the Fight on Death stratagem, even though they did gain other really cool stuff like Advance and Charge, I find as a possible flaw in their battle plan. It doesn't make it as automatic as it was. That doesn't mean they can't still beat other melee armies. It just means it's not automatic. So I need to see on the table how big of a deal that is. I'm probably most likely to play Angelic Host anyway. It does all the weird stuff that I like to do in 40K. I've got a bunch of Primaris converted Sanguinary Guard I made years ago. I don't have spears, but I got everything else. I really like Uppy Downy. I like playing Inceptors in the first place, so I'm like the idea of taking 12 Inceptors and then the rest of it is a normal Blood Angels list. I find really interesting as a list building idea. But I think that also comes back to like what are the points on Sanguinary Guard? If Sanguinary Guard, I think in the book there's 60 points a model, which is just not possible. Like if they're actually 60 points per model, you can't play them. Like you can't pay 300 points for 18 wounds of guys. That's not real. I don't care if they're Terminators. So I feel like I can't get too excited until I see the points. If Death Company points, you would have to. Logic would say that if Death Company lost half of their cool weapons, that their points should go down. That doesn't mean that GW will do it. So, like, I know you can take more special weapons than I originally thought. I think you can take, I think it's 3 Power Fists and 2 Eviscerators if you take 10 guys, or 2 Power Fists and 1 Eviscerator if you take 5, which is, I was worried it was just going to be 1 and 1. So that's nice. If their points go up as a punishment for how good they've been right now, that would be problematic. So, like, if you lose your output and your points go up, that's a non-starter, obviously. So, I just need to see. I will get on and do a stream with Brad when the Blood Angels points come out, because I'll be very excited to talk about them if there are things to be excited about. If there are things to vent about, I'll get on stream and do that. But, like, if the points are anywhere near reasonable, I think there's some really fun ideas to try that are going to look different than what we've been doing. So I think that would be really cool. I rest assured that if they fuck it up and the Blood Angels points are awful, that it'll get fixed in like 3 to 6 months. Because when they ruin Death or Dark Angels, they fixed them later. So in my mind, it's the question of when do I get to play Blood Angels, not if. It's just a question of do I get to play them in November, December? Do I have to wait until March or April? We'll see. World Eaters still doing World Eaters things. Seem fine, 47%. Down here, we start getting to the ones that seem a little bit iffier. Chaos Demons at 45%, but 2 X and O's. Black Templars at 45%. This one surprises me. I am surprised Black Templars only at 45%. I think Black Templars Gladius Task Force is still absolutely fine. I'm shocked to see one. It looks like they had one person play and that person went 1 and 5. So, okay. One person can definitely make it look a lot worse than it is. That's okay. I'm glad they had fun playing Gladius Task Force. I think Black Templars Gladius Task Force is legit. Righteous Crusaders, I have to imagine that's the 120 or more, or what is it? 80 to 120 neophytes, which is just not a list that everyone has or wants to play. I think that list from WTC is still busted. They haven't done anything to change it. If you have access to the list France played, you'll probably go 4-1 at most of your events. It's just that good. So I would happily play this weekend if I had access to it. All right, now we're down into the things that don't seem right. Orcs at 42%. Obviously, we would love these two to go up a little bit more, but Orcs and Space Marines are... this is a problem. I don't know. I know Brad's talked more about the Orcs. This seems... I don't think Orcs are this bad. I play against good Orc players all the time, and the list still seems terrifying. So all the people I play against play Warhorde, and we see Warhorde is still the only detachment that's doing well in events as far as going X and O or X and 1 or better. Looks like people playing Dread Mob are doing fine. You're just not winning. You're not going X and 1. I think I would love this to be a little bit better. I think the what is it? Not the knobs. Whatever the unit was in Bully Boys that got nerfed. I think they just caught too many side nerfs from the Bully Boys. Maybe if we roll some of these back but keep the Bully Boys detachment rule changed, maybe that would be a better way to see Orcs kind of in a healthier place. I know Brad has a lot more opinions on it, and we've already talked about Space Marines at length. Don't really need to go into that anymore. And then Imperial Agents aren't real, so who cares? We're not going to talk about that. That doesn't count. That's not a real army. That is a codex of how do you ally things into your army. That's not a real army. And I don't say that to insult any of the Death Watch players, because you guys got done dirty, and you deserve your own book. And maybe they'll surprise us with a Deathwatch book later after putting Deathwatch in the Imperial Agents book. I hope they do, because this book is stupid, and I don't think it's fair to a lot of people who love those armies. All right, chat. Anything else you want to bring up? We got Champions Cup coming up this weekend. We got Michigan GT coming up this weekend. Fix Space Marines with characters. Yeah, that's fair. Make the characters better so you have motivation to play the Codex compliant stuff. That's reasonable. I mean, as a balancing act, you can't make them obscene, but like the Lion, he needs to be fixed, right? If the Lion was playable, I would love to see him in Dark Angels outside of a Deathwing list. Same with Guilliman. I love seeing Primarchs on the table. I think it's silly that the only Primarchs that are good are always Chaos Primarchs. So I would love to see some cooler stuff here for the Imperial Codex Compliance Primarchs. So we got the team going down to Texas this weekend. We have a first round pairing already done. I forgot. I gotta look. I gotta pull it up. Hold on. The team, so the Champions Cup, for those of you guys who follow that, got paired last week. So we already know who Team Death or Glory is playing against in the first round, which is really exciting. So we are playing against Miami Dice. So this has a lot of the good players from Florida. If I remember correctly, a lot of these players were involved in or tangential to the old Brohammer or the Broviathan list that Florida made back in the day that terrorized the end of 8th edition. So that should be a really fun game. A lot of good matchups here. Really excited to follow this weekend. And then Kyle and I, along with others, I'm speaking for Kyle as, he's now living in my house, for those of you who didn't know. But Kyle and I are going over to Michigan GT to kind of represent the community and hang out with people. If you're going to be at Michigan GT this weekend, please come up, say hi. Even if I've never met you before, even if you've never met Kyle before, we'd love to meet you, hang out with you, shoot the shit, talk 40K. Michigan GT is an awesome event every year. I know Brad is very upset that Champions Cup is the same weekend as Michigan GT because he never misses Michigan GT. So Kyle and I will be doing our best to hold it down and represent the community this weekend. Would love to come and see everyone. So please come up and say hey if you're there. Let's see. First thing you buy, building salamanders. My personal answer would be flame aggressors, because aggressors are my favorite unit, and one of the reasons I like playing salamanders when I can. I love playing flamer aggressors. I just like the way they look, and I like the fact they've got, auto hitting and Overwatch. They work really great with the salamanders stratagems and detachment rules. So that would be my first choice. Yeah, we still need more characters. I also think it's a myth that GW hasn't made a Lieutenant Titus character playable in game, but I imagine that's probably like an IP issue that they're trying to make sure like that the right, like I don't know how it works. I imagine that there could be some world in which they have to have their characters for the video games separate from their characters for the book, so that like they don't have to worry about keeping those characters alive in lore or letting anything bad happen to them or not happen to them. That's a hypothesis on my part, but I think it would be really cool if we did have Lieutenant Titus character, or at the very least like a special Christmas commemorative instead of the Red Gobbo. Give us like a Christmas Titus to celebrate this is the year that Space Marine 2 came out. That would be pretty cool. So. All right. Any other questions from chat? Throw them out there. Otherwise, we'll be wrapping it up here in the next couple of minutes. Love to hear about what you guys are doing this weekend. I know Brad will be back later this week. Oh, I think he will. So the Champions Cup starts on Friday. So they're going to be flying down on Thursday, so there may not be a Thursday stream like there normally would be. I'll try to get Brad to post in the YouTube community to let people know. If there's not a list of unlocked for Michigan GT, maybe Kyle and I could do, I think Kyle's working Thursday night. Maybe we could do a list analysis from Champions Cup in Michigan GT if we have enough people that are available for that. That would be fun. But I know I'm real excited. Like Kyle, I'm jealous, doesn't have to work on Friday. I really wish that I didn't have to work on Friday because I would love just to stay home and watch the Champions Cup coverage. I know Joe is going down to Texas, so make sure you have that signed in all weekend. It's gonna be, I know the War Tabletop Live is going to be streaming Michigan GT, and obviously War Games Live is going to be streaming Champions Cup. So we're going to have lots of 40K available to consume this weekend. Hopefully we'll see, if we don't see you in person, we'll see you guys there in chat. You know, just like I'm going to do KR proud, just like you guys should go and like and subscribe to their channels, you need to like and subscribe to this channel. You know, like I said earlier, I speak for the Brad, and the Brad needs your likes and subscribes. The Brad is a creature that runs on attention, and I need you guys to give Brad your digital attention, or he might just die on the vine. He needs that life essence conveyed through the internet cables to keep him alive. Michigan GT predictions. It's kind of hard to do since I can't look at any of the lists yet. All the lists are still locked, Kyle, so I can't do anything. My Michigan GT prediction is there will be 5 undefeated players, because mathematically that's what should happen. Michigan GT this year is 134 people at the moment and 5 rounds. So we should end up with like 5 undefeated players at the end of the tournament, which is a lot. We'll see how many people we know can make it into that top group. I'm hoping to have some fun flaming people in my towel, so we'll see how that goes. Kyle's calling he's going X and 1. My prediction is that Kyle and I are going to get paired in the second round. That's my prediction. I'm not going to make a prediction on who wins, but my prediction is that like the first possibility Kyle and I could play, we will have to play each other. That's just how it's going to work. KR, I would not disagree with your prediction if Kyle had ever put this list on a table before. He played like one RTT with a different Necron list, and then he played something close to this list in a practice game for like 2 turns in my house. So if Kyle had anything approaching reasonable reps with his list, I would be 100% willing to back your prediction for him winning. So maybe at the very least he gets the practice he needs. We're going to 3 GTs. We have the Rumble on the Rivers happening in Indiana with Sentinel Wargaming at the end of October. And then the Gym City Wargamer guys, I think is the name of their team now because they had to change it. But the Gym Gaming guys from Dayton are doing their GT at the beginning of November. And then there's Worlds, and Brenton is hosting a GT up north on the same weekend. So Kyle and I are going to some combination of those. So even if Kyle doesn't win this GT with Necrons, I'm hoping he gets the reps he needs so he can win one of these ones coming up. So that would be really fun. No, Kyle says he wants to play demons with guns. So he's playing Necrons because apparently Hypercrypt is the same thing as demons, but they shoot people instead of charge. So that's, in his mind, it's not any different. All right, guys, thank you for hanging out with me. I'm sorry I was supposed to have some help tonight. I hope I kept it entertaining enough for you guys this weekend or this evening. Hopefully I can get Brad or Kyle or some of the other guys in here next time we have to do this, and I'll try harder to earn your love next time. But I hope you guys enjoyed hanging out with me. Thanks for spending time with me in chat. We will hopefully talk to you guys soon, and if not before all the fun events this weekend, we will definitely talk to you guys next Monday to follow up. How did the team do in Texas? How did the team do in Lansing? What else happened in the world of 40K? And I think, we're entering that home stretch. We've got the last couple weeks leading up into the holiday season, and then LVO after that. This is an exciting time to be a 40K player. So hopefully we'll have a lot to talk about come next week. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Stay milky, my friends.